You were born to change the world, not just add to the noise. The Glass Castle is directed by Destin Cretton and starring Brie Larson, Woody Harrelson, Naomi Watts, and Max Greenfield. Before I go any further, I just want to say there will not be any plot spoilers in this review. This film is based on the book of the same name, which is a memoir of the author Jeanette Walls, and it is about her very unique, impoverished, and nomadic childhood. And the film is particularly centers around her relationship with her eccentric father, portrayed by Woody Harrelson. Destin Cretton previously directed the film Short Term 12, which is a film I constantly champion. It also starred Brie Larson, and I was really excited to see he and her team up once again in another very heartfelt, dramatic film. And that is what this film is. It is very dramatic, it borders on melodrama, but there is a lot of heart in this film, and there is a lot of beauty in this film. And a lot of the beauty is in its depth. This film deals with a lot of unique situations when it comes to Jeanette Walls and how she grew up. Her family traveled a lot, they were constantly impoverished. Her parents were these kind of nonconformist people who didn't really believe in any type of institutions, and you really see how this film impacted Jeanette's life. And the way this film is structured is we see the adult Jeanette portrayed by Brie Larson, and then the film kind of plays out in various flashbacks, and that is where we see Woody Harrelson as her father, who I think is very good in this film. I would dare say extraordinary. He brings a lot of emotion and a lot of depth to this film, to a character who has a lot of layers to him. He is not entirely good, he's not entirely bad, he is very gray, and a lot of that has to do with him battling a lot of internal demons. But while he's dealing with that, he tries to inspire his children to be more than what society wants them to be. And he also tries to mask their impoverishedness by giving them a lot of hope in the world and giving them a lot of alternative things. And what that does is instill a very interesting life model for their children. And I have to give a lot of credit to the author for sharing this world and for being really unapologetic as to how dark her childhood was. Things were not always pleasant. I also have to give special credit to the child actors in this film, particularly the child actors who play the Jeanette Walls character. They do an exceptional job and have great on-screen chemistry with Woody Harrelson. Brie Larson is one of my favorite actresses working today, and I'm really glad every time I get to see her in a new role. She is an Academy Award winner for a reason, and she brings a lot of greatness to this film. She brings a lot of dramatic weight, and she is able to take what we see in her childhood and bring it to an adult version of that character very, very well. And I really like the chemistry she had with Woody Harrelson as well. This film has a lot of layers to it, and it explores a lot of interesting themes. Particularly at the core of this film is this idea of the relationship between a child and their parent and how unique that is. There is a special bond between a child and parent that is captured on screen sometimes very, very well. And it is also dealing with the idea of viewing our parents as icons or as heroes, and they have this kind of heroic quality to them when we are kids. They are this perfect figure, and this film kind of tears through that to where over time our heroes are not quite our heroes and they very much become our enemies. And the film battles with a lot of those things and battles with a lot of duality when it comes to a parental relationships. Where this film ultimately falters for me is that it tends to meander a lot. Like I said, we're dealing with flashbacks, and sometimes we're dealing with multiple flashbacks where we are jumping around from different points in Jeanette's childhood, and the film doesn't feel quite cohesive when it comes to putting all of these scenes together. And also, the film in its third act tends to get a little predictable, tends to get a little cliched and traditional. It kind of feels like they were checking off a lot of things on a checklist that they needed to get into the film in order for it to be as dramatic as it could be. And I noticed those things, and it took me out of the film for a moment. But with all that being said, I'm I'm going to give this film a 3.7 out of 5 stars. The acting is strong, the story is unique, and I think the film is very multi-layered, but it does tend to meander a lot. This has been my review of The Glass Castle. If you like this video, please check out the other videos on my channel.